before we get started, would you like to introduce yourself to everyone watching this video?
Yes, certainly. My name is Beka. I am a career coach for multi-passionate creatives who want to make a big difference in the lives of other people using all of their gifts. As such, I help them understand what they really do and help to articulate that clearly so that others can understand it too.
Yes, because that is one of our biggest challenges, is struggling not to just list out all of the things that we've ever tried in our lives.
Yeah, exactly. Like a giant shopping list that just totally confuses everybody and overwhelms everyone.
Yep. I like to do my own nails, but I also dabble in woodworking. Like it's
yeah, exactly. And people kind of look at you with a kind of strange expression to say, so what exactly do you do? You know, you have a shopping list of all these things, but how do I need you in my life?
And I love the story that you shared earlier. So I'm going to make you tell it again, because I feel like people need to hear the story, because it literally, you were correct. It was the perfect analogy for how we all feel as both multi-passionates and entrepreneurs, where we really want someone to like ask us what we do, because we're proud of what we do and all these things we've tried. And we have lots to share, but God forbid someone actually look at us.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So the story I shared earlier, and we'll tell you again, was that recently we've been letting our new cats, they're a year old, and we've been letting them outside. So they've been slowly exploring further and further afield. And literally, in fact, one of them went over to the field behind our house the other day for the first time, which was
like, I'm in the jungle. Like,
yeah, she was on an adventure. It was great fun.
Do that stuff.
And this morning, while I was drinking my coffee and having my breakfast, I was looking out the window to our neighbors, and I was like, is that one of our cats over there? I was having my husband with us, and I saw this cat go up the steps to the front door of this house, and was sitting there going, meow, meow, please let me in. I want to be friends. Who is there? Can I come in? And the moment the door opened, he just shot away as fast as he could and shot for his butthole. Yeah, just shot straight away. So the reason why I thought this was funny and the analogy was so apt was that we can be so keen to share our gifts and go up to people and say, look, I can do this and I can do that, and I want to share what I'm doing. But the moment that somebody actually turns the torch onto us, the light onto us, we freak out and we forget what it was that we were trying to tell people. Yeah. And we stumble over our words and we run away and we hide in our bolt hole again. And then we then go through a process of beating ourselves up about the fact. And so we go through this perpetual cycle of doing it over and over again. Oh, yes. That, is not so good.
Yes. And I have to love on you a little bit, because when you and I very first talked, like our very first conversation, I was so overjoyed the second I found you, because I legitimately had spent so much time beating myself up. Like so much time beating myself up over the fact that I couldn't just pick one thing. And you put it so aptly. And I still remember this. I mean, this was months ago.
Yeah.
But I still remember this, where the way you described it, you were like, yeah, because trying to narrow in on one thing is like cutting all your other limbs off. And that's what it feels like.
Yes.
Like, how could I possibly dedicate myself to this one thing? But all these other things are nice too. And I like them all. And they all feel useful.
Yes.
So
yes.
Do you have anything that you would like to share with those that are kind of feeling like the fact that they're a multi-passionate person?
Okay.
Do you have any words of comfort or reassurance for those that are kind of feeling like something is wrong with them, that they can't just do the one thing and stick with it?
Of course. Well, my biggest thing is, I'd say, well, one is there's absolutely nothing wrong with you whatsoever. Don't ever doubt that there's something wrong with you, and don't believe the people that may lead you to also believe that there's something wrong with you. That's the first step.
Okay.
The other thing, which really helped me kind of embrace all of the things and also allow for new things to come in and existing things to fade out, because we always go through this evolution of, we don't stay static in our multiness. We pick new things as interests grow or our learning wants to expand. So the one thing that really helped me was to look at everything as an umbrella.
Okay.
So all of those things are actually part of my multiness. And it's not the individual items that are the thing I do, but it's actually them as a collective.
So like they all add up to like a bigger picture.
Yeah, so they're all the pathways and means to express what really is going on underneath.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And so the fact that you have multiple things means that you have multiple ways of expressing this one idea over and over again in different ways.
And for those of us that are like me who love to experiment, and then, you know, you and I have talked about human design, obviously.
Yeah.
Martyr heretic right here. I try everything. Fire's hot. Is it? I should probably touch it just in case. Like, that's me in a nutshell. Yeah. So I know that one of the other things that really bothered me as a multi, or like one of the things that plagued me, was this sense of if I wasn't like perfect at something that I tried, I didn't have, you know, obviously I wasn't meant to go down that pathway. Even if I enjoyed it, it's like, there's this sense of failure if you're not good at everything, because people kind of coin us as jack of all trades, and it makes it difficult to actually feel like we have the wiggle room to experiment and do things. So do you have any words of wisdom about that feeling of kind of failing if something doesn't immediately bear fruit as to being useful?
Okay. Well, the first question I would ask you is, when you were born, could you walk?
No.
No. So you took time to grow and to learn. And so really, to expect ourselves to be brilliant straight away is a huge amount of pressure to live up to.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, being brilliant is not actually the main reason to do something.
I love that.
The main reason to do something is because you love doing that thing. Is it not?
Oh, it totally is.
Yeah.
This is why I love you.
So the fact that you choose not to, there's many reasons why you choose not to pursue it any further, but don't use not being brilliant as the reason why you stop.
I love that. I think there are a lot of people out there that need to hear that because I think a lot of people, I know I'm certainly one of them, get stuck in this idea of perfectionism in everything we do. Don't ever do anything wrong and then you'll be fine.
Yeah. And I think actually for multis, it potentially the pressure is more so because we can do so many things.
Yes.
We somehow feel that we should be brilliant at everything as well. It's a weird, like, they go together.
Yeah.
Like because we can do everything, we should be brilliant at everything. And that's not really what's going on.
Not quite how it works.
No.
But it does. We kind of get that put on us, like any task that comes our way, we're more than willing to give a shot. Usually.
Yeah.
But then there's this feeling of we have to do it perfectly or it'll mean that we can't do anything else.
Yeah.
Like maybe we weren't as good at painting as we thought we were because we tried gardening and killed everything. Like, you know, like somehow those two things suddenly become inexplicably related, like connected to one another.
Yeah. Well, and actually I think multis are very willing to step into new things. They love diving into new things.
Oh, yes.
And I love diving into new things just to find out, well, can I do the thing?
Yeah.
You know, or how does this thing work? That's one of the things that's driven me, is like, how I want to learn. How does this thing work?
Yes. How is it made? How does it work?
How is it made? How does it work? And then once I've figured out how it's made and how it works, or I've tried it and, you know, realized that we aren't compatible, then I'm like, okay, fine, that's not my thing, and that's fine. And that's the other thing to remember too, just because we're multis doesn't mean to say we have to do everything.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you can try a thing, and if you realize that it doesn't work for you, then that's absolutely fine to drop it and walk away and do something else.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we don't give ourselves that freedom. We almost take on this, like we have to shoulder everything because we can do everything.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to cover that for people that are like me and need to hear that.
Yeah.
And so what I've been dying to ask you is, How do you help multis in this new beautiful program, Create Lab? If someone is coming in that has 50 million projects and just wants to get one done, just one, and then they'll be fine. Like, how would you help them narrow down what project to work on for the duration of this program, so that they can kind of anchor into some of the meaning that they're trying to put out into the world? What would you walk them through when everything seems to have equal pull and equal urgency?
Yeah, and that's a really good question, especially right now when there's not only the things that we actually wanted to do prior to this event happening, but now we want to take on all the burdens of the world as well, and often feel really guilty that we still want to pursue the things we want to pursue.
Yes, absolutely.
And so one of the big potential blocks is that feeling of being split.
Yes.
Being split between directions. Yes, being split between what you want to do and really what it is that you should be doing, and then the shoulds that other people want to impose on you, or the world wants to impose upon you. So there is that rights, wrongs. Yeah. And you also can sit there going, well, who am I to be doing the things that I enjoy? Why should I be having fun when so many other people are not having fun right now?
Yes.
So in fact, this actually really blew up for me 2 or 3 weeks ago now. Just at the moment of when everything blew up in the world,
literally on the internally,
I happened to go down unwell, sick. I had a cold or flu or whatever it was. I don't know what it was. I'm still very sort of broad-minded as to what exactly it was that I had, but it happened to blow up all at the same time. And so as a consequence, because I had brain fog, I was looking online and keeping up to date with what was going on. And so I just felt more and more sort of overwhelmed. It's like, how can I help? I want to help. What can I do?
Yep.
And where should I direct my energy?
Yeah, that's a question so many people are asking right now, me included.
Yeah. So where should I be directing my energy? And then, of course, within a matter of days, people were putting offers online and saying, we can do this free. I'm reducing my prices. There's this meditation session. There's this offer. I'm going to give away TV streaming for free. There's all these libraries and galleries opening their doors for free. And everybody seemed to be pouring out this assistance. Yes. And so there's this wave of feeling like you have to be doing something as well.
Yes.
And I was like going, well, what, honestly, what can I do? Because I just felt suddenly that everything that had been important to me suddenly lost all of its importance.
Yeah. Suddenly you feel like you're behind the curve and like you were focusing on all the wrong things.
Yes. And, guilt too. Massive.
So much.
Yeah. Massive guilt. So I knew that this was that I was being pushed to act, but I didn't know how to act or what to act. And so I actually behaved myself and pulled myself back and resisted the urge to just throw something out there and do something.
Just to do it.
Yeah, because I didn't just want to be riding that wave. I wanted to make sure that what I did put out, which has now turned into this Create Lab, actually came from a place that served the bigger picture for me.
Yes.
Because the other thing I noticed was a lot of the reaction was like, well, what to do right now? How to calm your anxiety right now? How to solve the problem right now? And I was thinking more long term, thinking actually this thing is going to go on for some time.
Yes.
So what happens in 2 or 3 months' time when this thing is still going on? What kind of support is there going to be for people at that point?
Yep, that's true. Everyone's kind of outpouring right now, which is wonderful and it's beautiful.
Absolutely.
But
there's people that need support right now, and I don't deny that. I don't deny that at all. But I was also looking at like, well, what happens once this initial hump has been got over?
Yes.
And we're then settled into this potentially for the long term.
Yep. As we're settled into what I think will be a huge shift in the collective consciousness right now of our world with how this is sweeping through. And I love that you're bringing that up, because I was actually just talking to someone, and we were talking about how, you know, there's all of this beautiful response in immediate, which is so necessary. It is 100% necessary. And then the rest of us are kind of going, well, what can we do? And I think part of what we need to address is the fact that this is an ongoing thing. This isn't like over in 2 weeks, right? It's not going to be that way. So for an ongoing problem, you need kind of ongoing forms of support.
Yeah.
Because I know there are so many multis out there that probably have these beautiful gifts that don't necessarily fit into like a first responder category or things like that, but they have gifts in where they could be, you know, supporting their communities or supporting their families or themselves. And, you know, through the work that you do in helping them figure out what's really calling to them, I think that could be part of that. There's the first response support, and then there's kind of the underlying ongoing support. And I think that's what a lot of the rest of us need to be, because we're going to need that for those that responded to the first response. You know, those first responders are going to need help when their initial bit is done, and we need everyone else needs to then carry what they've begun.
That's right. It's for what happens once the dust has settled.
Exactly. So so going back to the original question, so what is the process how do you help people walk through that, through some kind of getting through the noise that's within a lot of us?
So as I said, my first reaction was to act.
Yes.
And I realized very quickly that acting just straight off the bat was not the answer. Okay. What really was the answer, actually, as much as it feels uncomfortable to do it, is actually just to stop and pause and actually allow the feelings that you're feeling to be experienced.
I love that. Yes.
You know, and actually get in touch with, what is it that I'm trying to respond to? What is it about this situation that is driving my anxiety?
Yes.
For myself, I realized it was nothing to do with getting sick, dying, even my family getting unwell. It was more actually about, it was a response to how other people were responding.
Really? Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So it was actually about everybody else's panic. They say panic, you know, anything is contagious. Panic is contagious.
So
fear is contagious. And so is positivity contagious. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I kind of said, so which end of the stick do I want to be? Do I want to sit on this end of the stick that fuels that panic and that anxiety? Or do I want to sit on the other end?
Yes.
And so I decided, so I decided that the good stuff was the end where I actually wanted to be.
Okay. And then how did you further narrow it down to creating this beautiful Create Lab? How did it kind of manifest itself?
So I kind of cheated.
Okay, that's fair.
Because it was actually something I'd been thinking about months ago.
Okay.
Anyway, so it was something that was already in the pipeline.
So there was maybe a moment where it was like, oh, it's time now.
Yeah. So it was like, this is the moment to put this thing out there. But going back to the explaining the actual process that I would take somebody through, it would be pause.
Okay.
Look at your feelings. Where is this need to act coming from? Is it a panic response, or is it that better space response?
Yeah, kind of where's it coming from?
Yeah. So what are your motives behind this? Are you trying to control your own anxiety by throwing something out there?
Do something to do something.
Do something to do something. So are you avoiding the feelings?
Yeah.
Or is this something more than that? That actually is like it goes back to the reasons why you do the things you do in the first place.
So you're kind of helping unearth, you kind of get through the noise and you go deeper and you say, what's really calling me about this?
Yeah. And what's the source of my anxiety? What is the source of this angst that I've got? Which for me, it was actually other people.
Yeah.
It wasn't actually a personal anxiety. It was the vibes that I was picking up from other people.
Sure.
That was just fueling it, you know?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, they're palpable in the air right now.
Yeah. So once I had done that, and in order to process that, I think we've discussed it before, I do a lot of journaling.
Oh yes.
So I was journaling a lot.
Sometimes you feel like you're dumping out the world's thoughts instead of your own.
Yes. And, you know, and questioning myself as I was going through it and saying, you know, is this true? Is this really true? Am I just saying this, or is this true?
Yes.
And really getting to the root of what it was that was going on for me. And then from there, reconnecting with the things that really mattered to me, the reason why I do the things I do in the world, and realizing that actually this ties in with lots of people's situations right now.
Yep.
I don't think I've shared with you, but I've also had experience of close people dying in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I've lost jobs. I've had a health crisis. I've had a relationship that was questionable or collapsed.
Sure.
And all of those moments in our lives are moments when we sit back and we have to think about, well, what am I really doing with myself? They're the moments that actually frequently become transformational moments. Because we realize, you know, we can keep ourselves busy on the surface, but when the floor drops out from below us, we actually realize, or we can come to a point where we realize what truly matters and what we truly want to do in the world while we have the opportunity to do it.
Yep. We kind of rise from everything crumbles, and then what stands is what's left.
Yeah.
And I think honestly that's a perfect way to describe, I think, what we're going through in the world right now.
Yeah.
It's been this continuous like shifting of how do I just keep this going, when in reality, actually what the entire world needs to do is stop for a moment and say, we've been presented with this new thing and we can't just keep it going. It's not about just redirecting or kind of shifting what we're doing. It's about almost like completely readdressing where we were going.
Yeah.
And almost like your position in the life you want to live, in the world as it will be after this. I mean, there's so many questions going around. But so to the person who is perhaps saying, because we multis are always busy.
Yep.
We're always busy. We always are juggling so many things, so many balls in the air. What would you say to the person who says, this is adding another ball in the air and I just don't have time for it? What would you say to them?
Okay. Well, I would ask them, which of those balls that are in the air right now are coming from a place of panic, and fear, and which of those balls in the air are coming from that better part of you? That better, wiser part of you. So which of those balls are reactionary and which of those balls are proactive?
Okay.
Yeah.
And would you encourage them to drop? Well, not drop, but almost, because we have a tendency to also get caught in a very popular worldview that busy equals better.
Yeah.
Busy equals more successful. Busy equals we're more important. Would you encourage people to actually almost minimize that, not narrow down, because we don't do that, but maybe look at where those balls are coming from and encourage them to perhaps set them down for a while, even if they come back to them at another time?
Yeah. And I would say too that maybe look at why. What is it that you're avoiding by doing all of those things.
Okay, so what are we not looking at?
So by keeping ourselves busy
Mm-hmm.
and trying to carry on as the way we always have and keeping busy, what are we avoiding? What is it that we don't want to look at?
Such a big question right now, because I don't know about you.
It can be really scary.
Oh, it really can.
It can be really scary to look in those places.
And that's, again, why I think this is actually perfect for right now, because one of the things that's resulting out of this coronavirus, this pandemic, is that we're literally, it's like we've all been sent to our room to think about what we've done. Like, and I've seen so many posts about that, and I giggle every time I see them, because
like the naughty teenager. Yeah.
Yes. Like, we literally are like, think about what you've done or what you're doing. And I'm just like, am I doing okay? What am I doing? Like, and I'm also being forced to, like, even in my own home, like, my home was functioning. My home, you know, I'm a mom, I've got 2 kids. I have roommates. I have a lot going on in my life that's very positive, very wonderful. But there were some things that I was I won't say unintentionally, but there were some things that I was kind of consciously making the choice to sweep under the rug, and I'll deal with it later. I can't do that right now because I've got X, Y, and Z going on, even though I could, if it was really important, we all know we could set X, Y, and Z down.
Yeah.
And deal with the problem, because when it becomes a big enough problem, that's what we do.
Yeah.
So, so you would encourage those that are feeling too busy right now to handle anything, or feeling that overwhelm, to do the pause and stop.
Yes.
Pause, to stop, lean into it, and ask, where's this really coming from?
Yeah. Yeah. Because it doesn't matter whether you choose to do this Create Lab or not. But the point is that keeping busy is one thing, but the number of things that you're splitting yourself across, how well are you doing those things?
Yep. The jack of all trades, master of none.
It is kind of like that. And I feel very hesitant to say it about it, because multis, you know, we want to be doing lots of different things, and it is a totally positive thing.
Oh, it totally is. Yes.
But we can find ourselves all the same doing things just for the sake of doing them.
Yep.
And forgetting what's actually where our energy really needs to go.
Okay. So is that another question that you would encourage, or another piece of the process that you'll be encouraging participants in Create Lab to do, is to not only stop and pause and ask, what's this response within me, but also, you know, look at everything that's going on in their lives now. They're going to listen to what's really behind those things. And then for choosing the next thing, you ask the best questions in the world. It's one of my favorite things about talking to you, because I literally sit and think about our conversations for like the next 3 days. And then I come back to them in next week and I'm like, oh, that's right, Beka and I talked about this. You know, I haven't really considered this. I do it every time, like, legitimately. So what question would you form for participants to ask themselves in Create Lab, or those that don't, just to throw out the question? You know, you'll probably, I know you'll walk the actual participants through this process in, you know, a different way. But for those that are just watching this video, what question would you encourage them to ask about finding that thing to do? You know, so not only where is the need coming from, but what if I can think of 6 things right now that I would totally love to do or feel would help, but I can't, they all seem equal in my mind. What would you do for moving forward with their next project?
Right.
That would be meaningful.
I asked a friend, I said, which of these sounds the most interesting?
Yeah, that's true. I remember, I remember you asking which one felt more relevant to, which one felt more meaningful right now, or like it would actually help. And would you say that coming into Create Lab, would you say that almost like having a, I don't want to say small, but like a more intimate community in that program Do you think that'll be a key piece in kind of bouncing off of each other like we multis love to do?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think we can only get so far with our own brain.
Oh yes. We spin ourselves in circles, I mean, all the time.
Yeah, so we can only get so far with our own brain, and that's another reason why this Create Lab was created, because I felt from the feedback that I'd received that we are excellent at knowing exactly what the steps should be, but at the same time we don't act. We refrain and pull back from acting. And so
it's that doorway again, the cat at the doorway.
Yeah.
Where we're literally like, this is the thing I want to do. I can't wait for this door to open so I can do this thing. And then it opens and we go, ah, and we run. Like, maybe that wasn't the right thing. You know, I should think about this a little bit more.
Yeah. So that's kind of the point of this space, is that you have people who are in the same position as yourself.
Yes. So you're not alone. You're not crazy.
You're not alone. You're not crazy. You're definitely not crazy. That you can bounce ideas off of and say, you know, I've got this crazy idea. Is it really crazy? You've also done the same with me. You'd come back to me and said, I've got this crazy idea. I'm going through this like revelation stage or transformational stage, and I've got this crazy idea. Is it really crazy, or is it actually doable?
It's like a weird existential multi-crisis. Like, it's just something we do, I think.
Yeah. So actually having other people who know where you're coming from, to bounce those ideas off of, and actually say, no, that's not crazy after all. That totally works.
Yeah. And that is absolutely something that I've found has helped me. And like, especially having another multi like you to bounce things off of. I mean, I find that the more we embrace our multiness, or my favorite word that I learned from you the very first time we talked, which was polymath, which I had never heard before, fun fact. That ever since I learned that, I find that you start noticing it in other people, and you start bonding without even really meaning to bond. It's just all of a sudden you're like my question I used to ask people was like, are you a crafty person? And there were some people that would look at me like, what do you mean? And they would be, but they just didn't use that term. And then there were other people who would be like, yes, I do knitting and crocheting, and I buy books and blah, 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 all this stuff. And they would give me their shopping list of all these skills that they have. And then I found the more that I was like, what do you guys like to do? Like, I'm someone who dabbles in everything. Dabbler became my favorite word, because that was one that everybody who's a multi-passionate person was like, oh yes, I dabble in everything. Like, because we dip our fingers in everything just to see if we like it.
Yeah, well, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, where we do dabble in everything.
We do
to find out what it is that we really like.
Yeah, and we don't know until we're in it. That's sometimes our downfall is we don't. I know mine especially is all like, if I decide I want to do a craft, I will buy all of the tools for that craft. I will buy all of the supplies, and then I'll do it for the first time, realize I hate it, and then never touch it again. Like. And I feel like that's something that a lot of people go through. But
I've been there, done that.
Oh yes. But then what's funny is now I've accumulated enough stuff, and this is a good analogy actually for the skills that we accumulate too. And you're actually someone who helped me see this, by the way, the kind of the web of how everything comes together and springs from this this gift that is expressing itself in so many different ways. I found that if to put it in terms of craft supplies, I have dabbled and tried enough different things that I now have tools to express this in whatever way it decides to come out, even in brand new ways. I found that the skills that I've accumulated become more comprehensive than I realized. Like, it's not singular things. It actually builds upon itself. Do you find that that's the same for you?
Yeah, definitely. And that's going back to the term polymath.
Yes.
That's really what I like to try and encourage, is the integration.
Yeah.
Of those things. And that's really where I'm coming from with this umbrella idea, is that all of those things, those tools, those bits of knowledge,
yes,
they're actually integrated in your umbrella. They become integrated.
We all have a tendency to think they're outside the umbrella, but really they're underneath this beautiful umbrella.
Yeah.
Yes, I love, that's been one of the things that talking to you has sort of nurtured within me, is this idea that like, and just kind of sparked within me this idea that it was all connected. It's all been connected the whole time. I was the one who was keeping it separate and thinking that they couldn't mix.
Yes.
And I was thinking about it this morning, and I was like, what if someone got this really cool idea to make a bench that involved both wood and metal materials?
Mm-hmm.
They would have to know how to work with both metal and wood materials, right? So if you have a woodworker who's like, well, I'm a woodworker, I can't work with metal. They may spend their life thinking, oh, this is my thing, I'm not allowed to go do anything else because it'll take away from my thing, right?
Yeah.
And in reality, if they would go dabble in metalworking, they may find another thing that they love that then adds and builds on a craft that they were already taking part of.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that this morning, and I was like, that's exactly how I feel sometimes when you and I are talking, is you have this beautiful gift of, because you are one and you know the struggle of it, you have this beautiful gift of reassuring multis that it's all part of this beautiful painting that's being made. And none of it's pointless. None of it is, silly or stupid. It all has the purpose behind it of this gift trying to express itself into the world. I love that.
And the wonderful thing about multis is because we're so willing to learn new things, by going back to your analogy of the wood and metal chair, is by learning about both of those methods, you discover that actually you look at, if you come from woodworking and you go and play with metalworking, for example, vice versa, you look at something and go, oh, that's how that thing is put together with that material. I could actually incorporate the way that is built and done in woodworking.
Yes.
And you actually start to see how those different skills actually can help inform the one that you then go back to.
Yeah, they almost nourish each other in a way.
Yeah. So that, again, that goes back to this umbrella thing, is that you are, picking up information from different places and different tools and different interests. But they all come back to inform your umbrella.
So would you say that is something
you actually have a richer product at the end of the day? And by product, I mean, I don't just mean like, a book or whatever, but product being the thing that you create.
Meaning, just whatever it is that you do. Maybe your service becomes better because you're able to incorporate a facet that other people don't think about, that's been really interesting. I've loved hearing about Create Lab, actually. I've been loving it, because for me, this is a space that I wish had existed. Like, I have found myself almost like waiting for like someone to be like, hey, guess what? I'm going to help you figure out what the heck you want to do. And then not only that, I'm going to help you nurture it. And not in a way that makes me feel like I'm trapped.
No.
Because, again, it comes back to that analogy of cutting limbs off, when we are full of analogies, aren't we? But it is.
That's the way of life.
Sometimes that's the only way I comprehend these things. But it's like, one of the things that always makes me nervous about any program where it's promised that they'll help you narrow in on the one thing and stuff like that and choose one thing and stick to it, is I literally go, but what if halfway through I decide it's dumb and I don't want to do it anymore? Like, instead I feel like coming from someone who understands that enriching, no skill is stupid, no path traveled, doesn't help in some way come back to that initial gift. Would you say that going through Create Lab, even if people are choosing one thing, let's say they get halfway through and they decide, you know what, this isn't exactly what I thought it was going to be, but I've learned a lot. What would you say to the multi who then goes, maybe I want to pick a new project? Would you say, no, you have to stick with this one? Or would it be more like, would you have them reflect? What would you have them do if they're finding that the project that they pick ends up being the quote unquote wrong one in other people's terms?
Yeah. So I would say, because I've had that experience myself,
Yes,
is
me too.
I would do that, stop and reflect.
Okay, so pause once again.
So
Pause.
pause and
Stop.
reflect. And also I would ask that person, but what is wrong with continuing with this one?
Oh, I like that. Yes.
What actually is wrong with continuing this one?
So almost
And
like
actually bringing it to its completion. I mean, I'm doing Create Lab in 3-month chunks,
yes,
because that's the other wonderful thing about multis, is we don't like long-term planning.
we don't, because we end up wanting to switch paths because we get
Don't ever ask me what is your 5-year plan.
Oh my God, I never have an answer to that. I never do.
So
I've been 6 different things in the last year. Don't ask me 5 years from now.
No, exactly. So having 3-month chunks means that from the outset you can say, okay, I'm only going to do this for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
This is a 3-month experiment.
Which is enough to actually, if you're not perfect at it at first, that's fine. And you can kind of keep developing and decide whether or not you actually like it. It's almost like coming back to that question of, where is this actually coming from that you're wanting to stop? And when you pause and you stop and you go, what am I really responding to? Is this coming from that stillness within me, or is it coming from just, I'm getting uncomfortable because I don't normally go this far? Like,
and that's the other thing, is what we multis tend to sort of get a little apprehensive as things get closer towards the end.
We get itchy.
Well, we can get itchy, but also the completion of things can become fearful.
Yeah, because then what do we do with it?
Because it's like, what happens next? What happens when this thing actually exists?
Yeah.
And so we go, okay, well, if I don't have to face that if I cut it off now.
Yeah, I don't have to look at it. I don't have to look at what comes next.
Yeah, I can cut my ties now, and then I don't have to worry about the fallout from what happens if I do finish this.
Yes.
So in the other side of that, I would say, well, by completing this thing, even if it's not the right thing, but completing this thing, you can actually put it in your book of, I did that.
Yeah. I
finished that.
Yeah, like what more?
And I think that can be the other thing that multis suffer with, is that we often feel that we lack value because we don't complete things. We don't have enough evidence behind us of completed things.
Oh yeah, it's it comes back to that same fear. We're standing at the door, meowing at the door, ready for it to open, right? And then it opens and we bolt away because we're so scared of what happens next. What if this person actually talks to me? Oh my God, I wasn't prepared to hold actual conversation. I was just focused on getting them to open the door. I didn't think about what happened next.
Yeah.
It's always that, like in the movies where you're watching that moment where they do the thing and they're like, now what? And the person goes, I have no idea. I didn't think that would work. Like, that moment. I feel like we kind of perpetually live our life that way. Like, I bought the camera. I didn't really expect myself to use it. It's just, I just really wanted to try it one time. But I think, that's so true. 'Cause simultaneously it's like wanting to be seen but not wanting to be seen, but also it's this feeling of, I know in myself at least, I've had this desperate feeling to just have one thing done.
Yes.
And like that would ease so much of the pressure off of my chest. And really where that pressure comes from, at least for me, and you've actually helped me with this a little bit too, which is another reason that I'm like, people get in Create Lab, because you do such a good job of facilitating being able to look at where that actually comes from.
Yeah.
And say, for me, it actually doesn't come from the fact, I don't really care that I have 50 unfinished projects. I know I'm going to get to them in their own time. I am not bothered by it, but it's the fear of what others around us perceive us as in that. We're the person that switched careers 6 times. We're the person that maybe had 4 or 5 different majors in college. Or, maybe we're the person that refuses to go to college till we figure out what we want to do, but that seems like it's never going to happen, or things like that. I love the way that you facilitate being able to look at those things.
Yeah.
And say, what are you really responding to in that moment? Yeah. Are you responding to that you just don't want to be judged by other people, or are you responding to the fact that you really don't want to do the thing, that you really are bothered? Because if you really are bothered, go finish the stuff. But it's a really unique process, I think, that to be a multi-passionate in this world. And I love that you're coming forward and creating programs like this, because like I said, I have been waiting. Like, I feel like, honestly, I have been waiting for these types of things to be created.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of a one-of-a-kind support.
Yeah.
And so one thing I also want to make sure that we cover is the fact that Create Lab is actually almost like, almost like a membership in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
That it goes in these 3-month spurts, so that there's still not that commitment. There's not that commitment, like, you have to pay a year in advance and work on 4 projects in that year. No, you can just say, hey, I need help I'm really enjoying this project right now, but I need something to support and help me, kind of support me so I can bounce off of other people and build this. And then in 3 months, if I hate it, fine, whatever, but at least I've done it. And I had the support, and I won't look back thinking, man, if I had just made time for it. Do you think this will help people kind of almost carve out space in their lives for what they're working on?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think right now at this time, when there's so much noise, and clamoring, that to have a dedicated space to kind of put the blinkers on a little. I mean, obviously I'm not actually confining people in a room altogether. This is an online.
Putting the blinders up and.
Yeah, but it's an online space.
Yeah.
But it is that container where you can, for a witchy analogy, is brew your potion in that cauldron. So the space is the cauldron.
Throw things in it. Just
focus. So the space is the cauldron, and you've got space to brew your potion.
Yeah, I think I love the way that you've created this program to actually facilitate this and allow these, we're beautiful, unique individuals just as much as everyone else. Just because we don't have our one thing figured out yet doesn't mean that we're not working on it. Like, I'm working on it. I'm just trying some things.
Yeah.
And, I love that this program exists. I just cannot say that enough. I love it so much. I am so overjoyed that you're putting it out there, because I think there are so many people that are going to see this and go, oh, finally someone gets it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think you're going to help a lot of people.
I hope so. And going back to the structure that I've envisaged for this Create Lab.
Yes, please do.
Because again, multis don't like structure. Apart from that initial decision-making process, the rest of it is going to unfold organically.
Oh, okay. So you'll allow it to actually kind of, as you bring in these unique individuals that with all their different things, you're kind of allowing it to almost enrich itself and build upon itself, which is perfect.
Yeah. And I have resisted giving it too much structure, because I've been in programs before where there has been a structure, and then because of my multiness, the structure doesn't work with that.
No, we almost have to start over again, because we think, because it's like we get halfway through and we go, oh wait, I think I did this, or, I actually want to go this way, and then we feel like we have to start over with it.
Yeah, and we start to, you start to feel like you're behind everybody else, and I just didn't want to have a space where people felt like they had to play catch up. Yeah, because that's the purpose of this group is not for my benefit.
Yeah, there's no goalpost.
For my benefit, I would have a stiff structure about, this week we're going to do this, and this week we're going to do that. And by this point, you should have got this far. I don't want to do that, because that kind of structure is for my benefit.
Yeah.
The whole point of Create Lab is for your benefit.
Yeah. So to give us breathing room, because we need a space to just go bananas in. Like, we do, and that's really, And that sounds ridiculous because that sounds like, also, I know that, and I've heard this from other people who just they don't behave this way, and they don't, their natural tendencies are not to do this. They are not really multis, because I think humans, to some degree, we're all curious and we want to try different things, but multi-passionate people, like, we can't ignore it. We can't turn it off and just go to do the same thing every day. We slowly die inside.
Yeah.
But when we're given this container where we know we're safe to explore, we know we're safe to try things out, when we're giving these beautiful containers that feel safe and comfortable and yet exciting at the same time, like, we're, you know, and allow us to just kind of splatter all over the walls and try things. I just hit my own sweater. I think that's what's so unique about your program, is that's what you're allowing people to do.
Yeah.
But still in a guided enough way where they don't feel like they're, you know, just being put in a room to splatter on the walls. You actually do have this process that you're helping guide them through, that you've been through yourself. And I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the other thing that's really important to me in this group is that my sole purpose of being there is to help you get over those hurdles.
Yeah.
Is to get over those hurdles of, I'm resisting moving forward because.
Yeah.
And that's my purpose, to be there, is to help you overcome those and really work out what's going on for you underneath.
Yeah. I love that. I love that you're coming forward in that kind of support, because that is, I think, something that needs to exist right now, because a lot of people are going, how can I help? And then we freeze, and we need someone to almost kind of not hold our hand, but kind of sit with us and be like, hey, it's okay. Breathe. You can still help. Let's just look at how. With the community aspect of, I think this is what we're also learning as a world right now, how connected we truly are, and how much we cannot just do everything by ourselves.
Yes.
Especially as just even services can't be performed because they're not essential.
Yeah.
Which is all fair, not at all putting that down. In what we were just talking about with where, you know, you get to do the thing, and then holding ourselves accountable, not even really accountable, but almost just the act of passing it to someone else to do what they do with it. And it builds on itself and makes this beautiful thing. And then it gets put out into the world. And it's like, it's not all on us to get it out there.
Yeah.
So one thing that I know, me personally, I am so looking forward to, because guys, I'm totally hopping on Create Lab. One thing that I am very excited for when I hop in is this community of like-minded people, where you almost come together, and it's like you do get to share your skills and all of your different things, and bounce things around to make something more beautiful out of it.
Yeah.
And then maybe feel, not only are you not feeling alone during the process, but you have help that you value, and almost makes it easier to get things out there. Because like, I know once I found you, putting certain things out there after bouncing back and forth with you was a million times easier.
Yeah.
Sometimes even than if I had just sat and thought myself to death about it.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the key pieces of, you know, people are going to go, well, why would I join a program right now? Why would I do these things right now? And I think part of it is because otherwise you're going to sit and think yourself to death.
Yes.
And sometimes I think when we're just doing, and this might just be me, but I have found that when I don't have some sort of skin in the game, I don't keep up, and I don't really value it as much. I don't put as much intention in there as needs to be to bring something to fruition and nurture it.
Yes. I totally agree. Because I've run free things before. I've participated in free things before.
Me too. So many.
You know, I mean, the number of free downloads that people have, you know, you have them just cluttering up your
my
desktop,
inbox.
you know,
I have so many things
inbox.
I haven't even opened.
Yeah, and silly things that you go, oh, at the time you go, oh yeah, I'll use that, I'll need that, or whatever, and then you don't.
No, it just sits there.
It just sits there.
It'll still be there.
Yeah, but the things I have paid for, that I've financially invested in,
yep,
I've also emotionally, physically, mentally invested in.
Yeah.
Because
like making the choice to open the door and step into the space.
Yeah. So it's the monetary exchange is, it's not about the money.
No, it's not at all.
It's never about the money. It's about the commitment to step up.
Yeah.
And do the thing.
Yeah. Kind of like what we were talking about earlier with sometimes in our hesitancy to put those things forward, it's because, you know, we say it's money, it's money, it's money. But sometimes the reason that we're not willing to step forward with that, whatever project it may be, or whatever, for a lot of people, I know for me specifically, it was like, you know, going for my business and things like that. One of the main things I'd be like, I don't have the money for that. So obviously I can't take this really cool program, stuff like that. And sometimes that is legitimately true. Sometimes we don't.
Absolutely. I mean, there are legitimate reasons why you should not invest in things.
Yes, there are. And I think sometimes it comes back to this same concept that is pervading everything we're talking about today, which is to pause and ask, what am I really responding to?
Yeah.
Is what's within me coming from a fact that this is just not the right time, maybe, or maybe it's, you know, it's just not the right decision to make right now? Or is it coming from the fact of I'm scared?
Yeah.
Am I just scared of what will happen? Am I scared that I won't complete it?
Yeah.
Excuse me. Because I know for me, sometimes it came from actually a place of, what if I do this thing and nothing comes of it?
Yeah.
Because here I have this coach telling me it's going to help me focus on this one thing, and I'm going to get through it. I'm going to complete the thing, and it's going to be perfect, and I'll know what I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Fun fact, that has never happened.
I have something to say about that.
Oh, please do. Yes.
It is that nothing that you invest in is ever wasted. And that's the wonderful thing about multis.
Yes. Yes.
Nothing is ever wasted.
Nothing is.
Even if you don't get the results that you thought you were going to get, or that somebody told you were going to get from the beginning, and you don't get those results, you get different results.
Yes, we still take it away.
You still get something to take away.
Yes.
And
yes.
More often than not, I have found that the takeaway is actually discovering more about who I am and how I work and what's important to me, what doesn't work.
Yes. What I don't want.
Do you know what? Finding out what you don't want as a multi is amazing.
It is, because it's almost like, oh, thank God I don't have to pour any energy down that anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Cutting off that dead limb felt great.
Like, yeah, exactly. And then it allows you to feed the things that do work for you.
Yes. And so that would be a lovely, what you just said there was, I mean, perfect to address a really common one that I hear all the time, which is, what if this doesn't work? That's my favorite question, because I have caught myself asking that so many times, because again, this comes from a huge thing about kind of everybody else around you looking in at you and going, why couldn't you just do it? Or you paid money for this, or, you know, all these judgments that get passed on it. Like, what do you mean you paid X amount of dollars and decided not to even pursue it? You know, like changing your college major. What do you mean you've invested all this time and you're going to switch it one semester before you graduate? You know, all these things. But what people don't realize is that's actually us not weeding through, but actually kind of discovering what works and what doesn't for us, and for where our energy flows in the world. Yeah. You know,
you've actually highlighted something that made me think that, in fact, multis are really awesome at risk.
We are, actually.
we are actually amazingly willing to risk.
We are. And I think it's because we've I don't want to say changed identities so many times, but I think it's because we've been so many different variations of ourselves in the past.
Yeah.
That I think a lot of times it's only if we've denied that within ourselves that we get really scared to do it again.
Yeah.
Because I know one of the things that I constantly struggle with is this idea that I'm fine taking the risk. I'm fine because I know regardless I'll get something out of it. It's walking others around me through that can be difficult. But it also comes from the fact that, and this is one that I would, if you're comfortable, I would love to touch on, is what do you say to the multi that is sitting there going, I desperately want to do this thing, but you can feel, how do I want to put this? What do you say to the multi who wants something more in their life, but is already grateful for what they have? And they, a lot of us multis, we do enough things and we find enough of what we like to where we can sometimes feel greedy for pursuing things when others aren't. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm trying to kind of narrow in on what I'm asking.
Yeah, and it relates back, funnily enough, it relates to this current event, the pandemic, and the guilt.
Yeah.
And it's like the guilt about, why am I allowed to be happy if other people aren't?
Yeah, it's a constant thing. Why should I be allowed to try this thing when other people don't have that?
Yeah. Why should I want to have more, get more, do more when I already have so much?
Yeah. And that ties directly into where what I've been talking about recently with being a seeker, and just I know there's more and I want to go more, but it's like you're almost just waiting for someone to just say, it's okay, go ahead. And I don't know about you, but as a multi, I think that is something that plays a huge part in everything I do. Is I know there's more to enrich this with, more ways to express this thing inside me wants to express itself in so many different ways and figure out exactly how it is in this world. But I do think there's a part of us that we're always kind of almost looking for permission to do so. Yeah.
And it's partly the searching for more is innate human drive.
Absolutely. Otherwise we wouldn't have anything that we have now.
No. So the drive for more is a human innate need or desire, motive.
Yes.
Excuse me. But so it's balancing where that more is coming from.
Yes. Is it more for the sake of more? Or
am I just accumulating for the sake of accumulating? Is it whether that's just accumulating information,
or knickknacks on a shelf?
Or knickknacks on a shelf. I'm just accumulating. But for what purpose am I accumulating?
Yes. What does this play? Why am I doing this?
Yes. What need am I actually trying to meet by doing more?
Yes.
Yes. And there's absolutely the other interesting thing is that we are pieces of the universe.
Yes.
Individually, we are pieces of the universe. The universe is constantly expanding.
Yep.
And as pieces of the universe, we are constantly expanding.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So we are only doing the thing that is part of the universe process.
Yes. Yes.
So that need, that pull, that drive to expand, to do more, to grow.
Yeah.
It's source energy, for want of a better word, for a better term.
No, that's perfect.
We are individual pieces. We are part of the universe. And as a part of the universe, we're part of the mechanism of how the universe works.
Yes.
We're not separate from it. We can't step ourselves outside of it. We are literally a working, functioning, needed piece in the universe.
Yep. We're
without
symphony.
You know, without us, the universe wouldn't work the same way.
Exactly. God, isn't that beautiful? It's one of my deepest core beliefs. Right there, you just spouted it back to me.
So that's where that drive comes from, is we are just expressing what the universe wants.
Yeah, when we're in a state of being instead of a state of thinking.
Yeah.
So
going back to why should I do more if you know, I've already got so much, or I'm feeling guilty that other people don't have as much as I have. What impact could you make if you had more, or did more?
Yeah, I love
more, or were more.
Yes. I love thinking about it as if I have more, to me, that's more to give. And I don't necessarily mean that in like money or physical things, but like even like with skills, like, I don't have an example off the top of my head that doesn't reference this video directly, but like, but I feel like we have the ability to give more when we do know more, when we're able to do more, when we are more, we're able to enrich everyone around us who can, it all comes back to enriching each other and that community aspect.
Yeah.
But thank you for falling down that rabbit hole with me.
Oh, probably a conversation for another time as well.
I know. I'm sure I'll be texting you about this later. I'll be like, for the next 3 days, I'll be going, oh my God, like I talked about earlier.
We just go off on tangents all the time. Yeah,
we do, but that's why I love us. That's why I love us. Oh, you know what we haven't covered? Where can people find you?
Oh, where can people find me? Oh, where can people find me?
Find you if they want to sign up for this beautiful Create Lab and they see the amazing value and amazing container that you're creating and support system that you're building. Cool. I mean,
well, I'm very easy to find because I'm don't have a lot of outposts at the present moment. The first port of call for people is my Facebook page, which is Coaching with Beka.
Okay.
So that's really simple to find me. I'm also on LinkedIn, but that's more difficult to find, I think. But
sure.
First port of call is my Facebook page, Coaching with Beka.
All right. And then is that how, if someone was looking to contact you directly, would you prefer that they message you on there?
Yes. Okay. Yes. Let's keep everything simple. So yeah, you can.
I love it.
Message me through that. You can comment on a thread, whichever. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. You have so much to share, and I cannot wait to see how all the skills that you have will come together in this beautiful program to facilitate and nourish others. I think it's so beautiful, and I'm so happy that you are stepping forward to do this, because I think it is so deeply needed.
Yes. I'm very much looking forward to offering this. If anybody has got any questions about the program, then they can message me. There's not a lot of time between now and the official start of it, but
sure.
I'm not exactly going anywhere. We're all in quarantine.
I know. So where are we all going? We're not gonna.
I haven't got any hot dates at the moment. So yeah, I'm pretty much at the other end of whichever device you wish to contact me on.
Okay. And for those listening, when does this beautiful program start? Because I know I always like to, when I enroll in something, I'm always like, I want to start now.
Well, it is very imminent, and I did contemplate postponing it just that little bit longer. But at the ultimate, I decided that no, I wanted to start it as soon as I possibly could. And it officially opens on the 10th of April. That's Friday, the 10th of April.
All right. And people can hop in now, and that's when
that's when it all actually kicks off and the doors open, and I'll say hi and welcome. And we'll proceed on from that point. Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be so much fun. That's going to be so much fun. I can't wait. All right. So to all of the beautiful multi-passionate souls out there, if you were to leave them with one thing to take away from today, what would that be?
That's a really good question.
I know it's like me asking you, hey, what do you do? Or what's one thing you would tell them to go do, right? Okay, so how's this? Give me a few things, just a few nuggets of wisdom that you would pass on to any multi-passionate out there who needs that, needs that support.
So you're not crazy for doing all the things. You're not crazy for doing all the things.
Okay.
All the things are tools in your kit.
Part of a bigger image.
Part of a bigger image. And right now, multis are very much needed because we know how to dance with the unknown.
Yes, something we are very skilled at.
We are incredibly skilled at dancing with the unknown. And so if there is nothing else that you have to offer people, it's showing them how to dance with the unknown.
Oh, that's so beautiful. That's so beautiful.
So if you feel like you have nothing else to offer, that is your offer.
Oh, I know there are going to be so many people out there that need to hear that right now. So thank you for your time, Beka. And as said before, we can find you on your wonderful Facebook page, Coaching with Beka.
Mm-hmm.
I will put a link so that people can access it. They can check out your posts. I know there are many people that will find not only comfort, but a little bit of excitement in this and at the prospect of being a part of it. So Create Lab starts April 10th and is here for all of us multis who are ready to just do it already.
Well, thank you too, Lauren, for hosting this fascinating interview. It has been always a pleasure to have a conversation with you. Thank you very much.